Hey there, Libra. Welcome to your reading for the week of September 1st. You have this Gate card that says a barrier is keeping you from your goal. You have this Medusa card that says jealousy leads to downfall. One thing I will say is that this week is, not just this week, I would say the entire month really, is really bad for jealousy, gossip, all that other stuff. So the best thing you can do is ignore it and not take part of it. I've said to other signs as well, like, no road rage this week, no flipping people off, no, getting people all, no getting involved in arguments and things like that. 5 wands right here, right? It's not like a bad week, but there's definitely like a little bit of a hot-headed energy going on at this time. And so, again, I think the best thing to do would be to avoid it at all cost and don't get involved in it there, Libra. And I think if you do that, you will be fine. So I would just avoid it. In your first row here, you have the High Priestess, the Hierophant, and the Temperance card. Very interesting. The High Priestess and the Hierophant are divine counterparts. And so if you're looking for love, this definitely could be like a divine counterpart that's coming in for you. And usually they're very good, these two. I kind of like these two better than the Emperor and the Empress because, again, it's like a more spiritual connection. So definitely could be some sort of spiritual connection coming in for you. You end with the Knight of Cups, and the Knight of Cups can be a knight in shining armor. So definitely could be a very solid love connection here, Libra. The High Priestess is also the card of unlimited potential. She has no roof over her head on this card. And it kind of represents the fact that she has unlimited potential in whatever it is that she's trying to accomplish in her life. And so she needs to do things to reach her full potential. And I feel that for you. I kind of feel the answer for you is pretty simple, actually, Libra. We go Temperance, 10 of Wands to the 10 of Swords. This might look bad, but it's actually pretty good. This combination here, to me, is saying simplification, basically. 10 of Wands can represent doing things the hard way, but also dealing with too much other stuff in your life, right? 10 of Swords says there are certain things that need to leave your life. 10 of Swords says something is dead, done, over with. But the 10 of Swords can represent a blessing in disguise. So I feel that the 10 of Swords is saying you need to pay attention to areas of your life where you can simplify things, and you also need to, make sure you're not overcomplicating things as well. You have the Hierophant. Again, I actually feel pretty good about the Hierophant as well. Definitely, again, there could be some sort of divine counterpart, but the Hierophant, he is the bridge between the heavens and the earth. And, he communicates with both sides. And so you could be literally downloading kind of like blessings from the universe or like ideas that could lead to blessings. Again, he is the translator between heaven and earth. He brings the messages down to earth. There's something about that for you, Libra. I think it's saying that maybe you have goals, wishes, dreams, or things that you want to accomplish, and I feel that you are kind of like on the right track. You just need to like bring those things down to earth is what he's asking you to do. You have the Temperance card. Temperance, of course, is a card of patience. He's kind of like trying to turn water into wine. It's a card of alchemy, turning one thing into another. Of course, Libra, we've talked about this many times in the past. I feel Libra has been trying to turn their situation around in life for a very long time. You've been trying to improve things. I do feel that competition has gotten in the way, which we've definitely talked about in the past. I think the challenge for Libra has been since at least 2016. The example I always give Libra is that if you have been, for example, trying to get a job that you're qualified for, you have maybe been struggling to do that since 2016, literally. So, it's been kind of like a long struggle to find something that fits. And, the good news is I feel like this is kind of like finally over and you're fitting in somewhere or something is fitting your life, which is definitely great, right, Libra? And, again, I think this is something you've been waiting a long time for. With the High Priestess, you have the 8 of Wands. Yes, a lot of communication from the universe. So I would be, any messages you're receiving, any messages you're downloading, I would be writing those things down so you remember them. 8 of Wands is like a quick success or a quick conclusion. And you have the Chariot at the end here, so definitely you could be having some sort of quick success or quick conclusion, quick victories in your life. So I do like to see that with the 8 of Wands. With the Hierophant, you have the Five of Pentacles. Yeah, Five of Pentacles says, do not call attention to your weaknesses. You need to focus on your strengths. It's funny because, the story of the Five of Pentacles is these two people are standing outside of a church. The Hierophant is inside the church. So, again, the Five of Pentacles can say, basically the church behind these people represents a place of sanctuary, but they're choosing to stay outside in the cold. So it kind of says that, there might be some obstacles in your life that seem like you can't overcome them, but there might actually be a very easy solution. And it does encourage you to focus on those easy solutions so that you can get out of any outside in the cold type of energy. But again, it's also just a very good card for focusing on what you're good at, making sure that you're doing what you're good at and not what you're not good at, and focusing on the right things, right? With the Temperance card, you have the Seven of Cups. I feel pretty good about this. Seven of Cups kind of says you are spoiled for choice, especially with that Temperance card. And the thing about the Temperance card is he is mixing together these two cups. We have Uranus and Gemini. Uranus and Gemini is going to be amazing for mixing things together. Two random ass ideas mixed together, right? And I don't really have any good examples for you, Libra, but pretty much anything you want to do, you could probably mix it together with another idea or something else. And, I would be playing around with those things, like mixing two different ideas or two different concepts, or two different jobs, or two different opinions, or whatever, right? Because you never know what you might mix up here with this energy. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Virgo card. It says details, details. It says you need to look at something more closely. What you need to know lies in the details. You have this fiery beginnings. It says you're on the brink of a real breakthrough. Follow your heart and live your passion. Love it. Definitely could be a breakthrough. The Chariot can be a little bit of breakthrough energy because the Chariot can represent like charging through an obstacle. And so, again, it wouldn't surprise me if you were charging through an obstacle. I do think it is a good time for details. We have South Node in Virgo. We're going to have an eclipse in Virgo at the end of the month on the 21st, basically. And so, there is a lot of Virgo energy in the astrology, kind of. And, I just think it could be a good time to look at the details. But what I would say is you don't want to get too caught up in the details. So it's like we should be looking for evidence, but also making sure that we're acting. The problem with the South Node in Virgo is perfection. So as long as we can look at the details, but we have to be careful of over analysis, right? You have to do things in balance with that Virgo energy, especially South Node in Virgo, because having the South Node transiting through Virgo is like, it can bring up those fears of not being perfect, those fears of making a mistake. It's like, according to Chris's crappy astrology here, I think South Node in Virgo is about needing to realize that we're not in school anymore. Like, no one is grading us on life. The only person that you have to answer to really is yourself, right? No one else. And, so I would make sure you're realizing that. But I do think it would be a good time to kind of look at the details in balance, right? You have this Knight of Wands, Ten of Wands, and the Five of Wands. The Knight of Wands, you always get the Knight of Wands with me, I feel, too. And the Knight of Wands can represent going on an adventure, being very spontaneous. I do feel like some of you could be attracting a Sagittarius if you want love, by the way. You have this and the Wheel of Fortune, so if you're looking for love, could be a Sag, could be any sign. I also feel that it would be an amazing time for mystery for you. The whole point of the Knight of Wands is that he has these pyramids back here, and he kind of digs into mystery. So if he doesn't, he kind of just goes on an adventure. He's more like, Indiana Jones, which actually, funny enough, I used to call the Five of Wands, which you have here, Indiana Jones, because Five of Wands is really a card of going on a crazy adventure to get treasure, and I feel that here with the Knight of Wands, that some of you might be choosing to go on a little bit of an adventure here that could lead to a big result. You have the Ten of Wands. I do think there are some things that you need to release here, Libra. Anything that's been holding you back. Again, the details card. This is why it could be important for you to pay attention to the details. I think that for everyone, the collective, one of the best things we can do over the next 20 years is pay attention to the evidence with Pluto and Aquarius. There's a part of Pluto and Aquarius that is very much, you need to look at the evidence of what is going on in your life. And if you don't know something, you have to get the evidence, right? And so that's what I would do. Ten of Wands says, pay attention to what you're working on. Is it worth it? Sorry, I'm losing my voice today, but Is it worth it or not to put the work into those things that you're doing? And I don't know, I can't answer that question for you, but I would be looking for sure. You have the Five of Wands. Five of Wands is a card of, again, it can represent conflict and competition. I feel like Libra has dealt with competition for such a long time. Like I said, probably since 2016. It wouldn't surprise me if you've had a very hard time, getting a job or something since 2016. Or it wouldn't surprise me if you've been dealing with that, But Five of Wands is like, needing to face competition. Also really good for learning from the competition as well. And we are definitely in a very good time of learning from the competition. So there you go. One thing about Pluto and Aquarius, especially for you air signs, is like, where can you be unique? I think I constantly hear astrologers talk about how Pluto and Aquarius is the collective, which is definitely true. But Pluto and Aquarius doesn't say become part of the hive mind. Like, that is the danger, is that all these freaking nerds that run the world are going to try to get us to plug into AI, and then we become brain fried like robots, basically, right? That is like the extreme danger of that. But as long as we maintain our individuality and we don't let go of our spiritual superpowers, then, things will go very well. So I don't know. We're kind of like at a tipping point right now. I think we're at a point where it's like we really need to realize that we are the AI. We have our own spiritual AI, and that's the superpower we should be tapping into, right? And so that's what I'd say there. With the Knight of Wands, you have the Six of Swords. Definitely improvements. I will say a lot of people, it is kind of weird. I'm just realizing this right now in your reading, is that the readings, I think there has been a big focus collectively on looking for improvements this week. Like, everybody has had something about it. So collective energies are very important because they're obviously coming up for a reason. And so I think collectively, and definitely showing up for you here, Libra, like anywhere where things are slow, anywhere where you have been feeling stuck in the mud in your life, it's like, what can you do to find a solution to that? Like, it is a good week to look for solutions because you will find them. With the Ten of Wands, I love it. You have the Six of Cups. If you've been watching me for a while, I love 2 6s. 2 6s kind of is like confirmation for your path. Basically says you're going in the right direction. You're doing the right things that you need to be doing to be successful. So I do feel pretty good about that just in general. I do feel like this could be love coming in for you. With the Five of Wands, you have the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles is holding on tightly to the past. But, what I will say is you go up to the Six of Pentacles here. And, the Four of Pentacles can be a card of setting up a solid, like, financial foundation. And so if you're doing things to improve your financial foundation or to improve your finances in general, this could be just very good for you in general, Libra. Next in the area, messages from your future self. You have this shadow work card. Yes, Pluto and Aquarius is amazing for shadow work as well. You have this transformation card. Yeah, it's like a good time for shadow work, but looking deeply. The other thing I would say is South Node in Virgo, Eclipse in Virgo, like anything having to do with your health. I'm not a doctor, so do not take this as medical advice, but, anything, if you're looking for answers in your health, like now would be a good time to go get those answers. Obviously, you're going to have to go to a doctor or whatever. But, again, it is a good time to get answers and to solve problems. So definitely something to think about. With that Aquarian energy as well, sometimes these issues that we're having in life could be more like emotional or, something, could be trauma based or something. So I've been telling everyone, it is an amazing time to work on blocks, money blocks, financial blocks, love blocks, all that stuff. It's a great time to work on your emotions, things like that. And that's what you could be transforming. Again, the reason I say this is because, again, working on those things is the thing that will bring us the result, right? You have the Ten of Swords, the Six of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords. Ten of Swords says something is dead, done, over with. To me, this is the end of Pluto in Capricorn and Aquarius. Yeah, Pluto's been in Aquarius officially since the beginning of the year, the end of last year, whatever it was. It officially moved out of Capricorn for the last time. Pluto is retrograding right now. It's only going to retrograde back to about 1.3 degrees of Aquarius. And then it goes direct on October 14th or whatever date it is. I'm pretty sure it's the 14th, but don't quote me on that. And so, I don't know. It's very close to Capricorn, and Pluto is very slow moving. It spends, it'll be in Aquarius for like 19 more years, a little bit more. But, I think something people forget is like, Pluto spends 30 years in Taurus, right? So Pluto has a highly elliptical orbit. It, goes way out. So it's, more of an ellipse. It's not a circle that the orbit is in. So, it takes a long time for it to go around. When it's in Capricorn, it's as close to Earth as it can possibly be. It's close, but still very far away. Pluto comes in, it comes into the Earth basically, but it's still very far away. But then it shoots all the way out. So it's closest when it's in Capricorn. And, if this is the Earth, right? And so again, the reason I talk about this is because it's very significant. Pluto and Capricorn going into Aquarius. It is the death of establishment. And, we, on a personal level, could be letting go of things, but it's like the blessing and the challenge. I wouldn't say curse, because it's not a curse, definitely not. I think it's a good thing. But we kind of have to realize that the things we have been holding on to are the thing that is preventing us from maturing and growing up and all this other stuff in the first place, right? And, so it's like we can have a lot of those realizations. I'll give you a great example. I am 37 years old. My brother has been living with me pretty much my whole entire life, right? We've lived together since we moved out of our parents' house, right? And he's 36, so we're 16 months apart basically, or 18 months, whatever it is, I don't know. And I can't do math, but we were born very close together. And so he is moving in with his girlfriend right now at 36 years old, right? It's like these are things that probably should have happened many years ago, right? Or who's to say that? But you catch my drift. Like this is a moment of maturity, right? And for him, it's a moment of maturity. For me, as a 37-year-old, it's like maybe I should get my ass moving too and like go do some adult things that I haven't done in a long time. And so that is like the Ten of Swords energy. The reason I'm explaining this is because I don't know, I feel like you're feeling this, Libra. I haven't said that to anyone else, but I feel like you are feeling that, like, it's not like a need to mature in a bad way. It's like, I'm not saying that we have to do these things, like get married or move in with a person or whatever, right? But, it's based off of you, like, what do you want? And like, are there things that require maturity that you're not doing? I don't know. Maybe that's a question that you should ask yourself with that card, right? You have this Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles, planting seeds. I like the Six of Pentacles right now because we're in a good time for planting seeds. We are, it's a good time to move in new directions. Like I just said, it's a good time to, go on these adventures and do things. And it's kind of funny as well. Not to talk about myself too much here, Libra, but I do think it's important. It's like, he's basically been traveling with this person, and so I've been alone in this house for months, for weeks at a time now. He comes home every once in a while, right? And, it's kind of like there are certain things I've decided to do with my life, now that he's not here and now that I don't have to entertain him all the time. And it's like, I realized that like some like restrictions that I was putting myself on, like things that I wanted to go and do, it's like those restrictions weren't necessary. So it's kind of like been very freeing in a lot of ways. And, that's kind of popping into my head with the Six of Pentacles for you, is that there could be certain restrictions where if you would just get started on something that you've been thinking about doing, I think you'd make a lot of progress very quickly. You have the Knight of Swords. Yes, right here. I'm pretty sure you've had this combination with me before, Libra, but we go Knight of Swords to the Chariot. Sometimes I feel the Knight of Swords gets to a point in the reading and then he's like running away to the past, right? And so it's basically saying, don't run away from something that's going to set you free. The whole point of the Chariot is that he's setting himself apart from the city that's behind him. He's making himself unique. He's charging in a new direction. And the Chariot is coming up in the good stuff here. And so the whole point of the Chariot is that everything in that city is the same. Ten of Swords. Like he has to get away from what he has always known to truly be successful. And I feel this reading is saying you need to be brave enough to go on that adventure. Knight of Wands, Five of Wands, Knight of Swords, Chariot, right? With the Ten of Swords, you have the Three of Cups. Definitely Libra is experiencing changes with people. We've talked about this many times in the past. So I don't know. I think this is just typical. With the Six of Pentacles, you have the Four of Cups. I've been encouraging people to try things again this month. There is something about this month with these two eclipses where, I feel if they're, it's kind of like a layer over the energy is the way that I see it. Like, I'm not saying you have to do this, but if you wanted to try to do something again this month, and I know this is weekly reading, but I think it would be a good month to try something again. As in, I'm not talking about like dating a person. I'm talking about like if you tried to do a project in the past and it didn't work out, or if you tried to start a YouTube channel in the past, it didn't work out. It's like, it just seems to me like it's a good second chance month, and I would start now. With the Knight of Swords, you have the Knight of Swords. So, basically the universe saying I meant what I said when a card repeats itself like that. Next, in the good stuff, you have 3 cards. You have this request card, this approve card, and this record card. So I think the universe is approving a request here. It's like almost like with the Hierophant and the High Priestess at the beginning. That combination with the 8 of Wands could say you've asked for something, and now the universe is like, sure. I think I said this to you as well. With Uranus and Gemini, I think it's very important that all air signs kind of write down their ideas and things like that. I always say I have my little, sorry, I didn't mean to kick that, but I have my little field notes thing here. I have a bunch of ideas in here that I write down. Don't share your ideas with anyone, but have something to write your ideas down on. I have a lot of air in my chart personally. Well, not a lot, but I'm Aquarius rising, Mercury in Aquarius, Moon in Gemini. So, I have a good setup of air. And again, I think people with a lot of air, or just air signs in general, need to be writing down those ideas. They're not, the thing with Uranus and Gemini is they're not going to make sense. It's like, Uranus and Gemini is like, it's like, Nostradamus. It's like if you've ever read any of Nostradamus's predictions, they make zero sense. It's only until you like translate it that you figure out what the prediction is, right? It's like that's almost like the type of messages that we could be receiving at this time, or that could be the types of ideas that we're having, where it's like we almost have to kind of like translate the messages and figure out the idea and then go from there. So again, writing it down is going to be important. You have this Wheel of Fortune, the Knight of Cups, and the Chariot. Wheel of Fortune can be a change in your fortunes and luck, so I feel like there could definitely be a positive change in your fortunes coming in here with the Wheel of Fortune. I think luck is turning in your favor as well with the Wheel of Fortune. I feel pretty good about this. I feel like there's like a lot of good stuff coming up for you with the Wheel of Fortune. It's like, are things perfect? No, but I think things are turning in your favor. You have the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups can be a knight in shining armor, so if you want love, definitely could be a solid love connection coming in for you. I feel like there could be a good connection coming in for those of you that want it, so there you go. You have the Chariot. Again, I think setting yourself apart right now, Libra, is going to be important. I think not trying to fit in would be a good idea as well, actually. Anything you could do to be unique or different, all that stuff would be good, but, definitely could be a victory. Yeah, with the Wheel of Fortune, there's love. You have the Lovers. I don't really think this is a person from the past, but I do feel that some of you could be attracting a person that you have been attracted to multiple times. What the hell am I talking about? I don't know, but that's what's popping into my head. It's like sometimes I think, I don't know, like maybe we meet a person, we're kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes. And then maybe they change or do something different, or we don't get to spend time with them, and then we see them again in the future, and it's almost like we are re-attracted to a person. I don't think this is for all of you, but I think for some of you, it's like you could be being re-attracted to a person. This might be a person you're with right now. It's like, have you ever been with a person, Libra, where it's like they decide to change their life and they start like getting fit all of a sudden, they start like working out, they start looking better, and you're like, oh shit, I better get my ass in gear now, right? It's like, I kind of feel like some of you, it's like you could be like being re-attracted to your partner if you're with a person. If you're not with a person, again, I think you could be being re-attracted to a person. For others, I think it, obviously it's a brand new person, but I'm just saying, don't be surprised. With the Knight of Cups, you have the Sun. This would be a special person, honestly, if you're attracting a new person. Even if you're with a person right now. It's like the sun is shining on them. Sun is the best card in the deck. With the Chariot, you have the High Priestess. How crazy is that? You start and end with the High Priestess. Ultimately, what it boils down to is you need to pay attention to your intuition. The High Priestess also kind of represents needing to, realize your full potential. She represents unlimited potential. You have this finger card. It says, warning you of a problem either now or in the future. Yes, I tell everyone right now, do not ignore problems. And not even, like, I'm not even saying there are going to be problems, but it just seems to me like it's a bad time to, like, not take care of things that you could take care of right now. It's like, if a light comes on in your car, don't wait. If there's something wrong with your health, don't wait, right? It's like one of those times where, especially what I think it is Saturn retrograde. Saturn is about responsibility, but even when it's retrograde, it's like, I think it's like extra. It's like Saturn is like, hey, you should take care of this, so it's like, go do it, And so I would, like, don't ignore things. You have this man card. It says dealings with relationships with a man. You have this pineapple. It says reconciliation on it. I don't really think this is a reconciliation, but I literally said it. I think this is like you being reattracted to a person or something like that, for those of you that want love. I don't know what's popping into my head. You have this crack cup card. It says dissatisfaction with life. I actually really like this card. Sometimes I think dissatisfaction, it's like, yeah, it sucks, but it's sometimes that one thing we need to, like, make a change is that dissatisfied energy. So is it really bad? I would say no. You have this apple card. It says temptation will test you. I would be careful of temptations. Everybody in the August monthly readings, July, and like September, the devil has been coming up all of a sudden. So, I think we should be careful of temptations. You have this older man card. It says dealings with relationships with an older man. You have this key. It says successful outcome to your problems. Yes, I feel that some of you could be overcoming any issues, problems, and challenges just in general. And we said that with the chariot, because I said with the chariot, you could be charging through an obstacle. But this looks pretty good here, Libra. I like it. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy your week.